Hello guys, my name is Diego Pacheco and this is another Java video. So today I want to do a JUnit 5 video. I want to show you some interesting features, how we can improve our tests. So let's get started. Okay, so here I'm gonna open my IntelliJ and I have a simple project that I made for you guys so I can show you this feature. So I create a class called doubler, right, that basically has two methods. One method called doubleIt, where I'm gonna pass an integer and then I'm gonna multiply that integer by 2. And then there's another one called throw me an exception please, where we're gonna throw an exception, right, and we're gonna use this on my test. So here I have my test. So basically, in JUnit 4, pretty much everything was happening by inheritance, right? So you used to extend a class and now you don't need to extend it anymore. And sometimes when you want to do some setup, create some objects and sometimes mock some data and prepare for your tests, you used to do a setup. And then in the end, you used to do a teardown where you clean up resources, you tear down objects and stuff like that. So here you can do it before all and after all annotations, but your methods, they need to be static. So before all, we're going to be running before all the methods and just once, and after all, we're going to run after all methods and just once, right? Then we have a method here, a test called test1 plus 2. Basically, I'm doing a sum 1 plus 2, expecting to be 3. If I don't have the display name annotation here, the name of this method will be exactly the name that you are getting here, right? So if you look the result, all right, you see test1 plus 2, right? And with the display name, what happens, right, that you change the display name, and then it became more fluid. So you can have something more like, Cucumber or JBehave, like these BDD frameworks. And as you can see here in IntelliJ, you get, this should look more like BDD style 1 plus 2 equals 3. All right, so this is a very simple yet interesting feature to make your test more easy to read, and it's really cool. I'm not sure if I should be showing this, but you can ignore tests. Before, there was one annotation called ignore. There's no ignore anymore, it's disabled now. One cool thing about it is when you run it, you can see this icon here. So it shows that is ignored, all right? And another very, very cool thing, I don't know if you guys know it, but you can pass lambda expressions in assertions. So the whole assertions API had changed, and it's much better. It's much fluent right now. It's much more concise, and you can do much more with much less. So for instance, here I'm creating a string of 6 integers, then I'm mapping to it to have an int string. Then I'm doing a flat map, basically getting the number and multiply by 2. And finally, I am folding this whole string and sum all the values, right? And I'm expecting this to be bigger than 20, right? We can run this and you can see it works. So this is pretty cool. You can pass lambda expressions now to JUnit. Another cool thing is called assert all, where you can do multiple assertions at once. So let's say here, I want to verify this array and I want to make sure that these numbers are in these exact positions. So I can do a series of lambdas doing assert equals, passing, let's say the position 0 is 3, position 1 is 6, position 2 is 9, position 3 is 0. And we can do all at once. That's a very interesting feature, right? So we can do all asserts at once. Another change in JUnit is how you assert pretty much exceptions, right? So before, basically, you're supposed to put some expected exception here at the annotation level. Now is much more fluid, is about a DSL. So you have this assert throws where you can pass the exception that you are expecting, and then you can put the code that throws that exception. For my case, I'm using doubler, and then I have a method that throws an exception for me. And also I'm getting the exception here, then I can get the message and compare to see if the message is what I am expecting. And finally, for me, is the most interesting feature is this test factory, where we can do it in a generic way. We can create tests. So basically, I'm gonna return a string of dynamic tests, and this is my input. So I have 10 numbers. I want to generate 10 tests. So basically, I'm doing a map. So I'm doing like a for loop to iterate each one of these inputs, and then I'm gonna use this dynamic test dot dynamic test, where we basically need to provide the name of the test and a test implementation. So the name is gonna be test double it and the number. So this will generate to test double it 1, test double it 2, test double it 3, and so on and on. And then the implementation will be this lambda, all right, where I'm gonna get the number as I get here on the map, and I'm gonna call double it and put in result, and then I'm gonna assert to check if the number multiplied by 2 is equal to the result, right? And we can run here, and you can see it works. So basically, we generated 10 tests. So this is really interesting feature. It makes the code much better. Rather than me write 10 methods, I can write one method and generate the 10 codes. That feature is really interesting. You can see I can run the full class. I get all the results here. And also, I can do the same in Maven. I will got the same results. If I do an MVM test, then you can see here is the same result. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you like it. See you next time. Bye.